Football is the game of the Scottish people.
It's Dalglish, in fact, and it's a goal!
And for 4 decades, Sportscene has become one of the towering bastions of the Scottish game.
Here's Cooper, he scored!
A weekly supplement of everything that we love and hate about our national obsession.
Yeah, so I'll come to you first, Gordon, about the home team, and I don't even know what the changes are.
Watched by more people than actually go to football matches, and burnt into our minds by the most powerful elixir of all, our memory of the past. It's the show that seems to back up the glib theory that everything was better in the past. But there may be a better way of thinking about the history of football on television. A phrase borrowed from fine art: less is more. The less football there was to watch, the more we valued it.
Not like the old studio at Queen Margaret Drive. Now that was a television studio.
Hello, good evening to you. This is the control room of Studio B in Broadcasting House in Glasgow.
When I started late 70s, pubs closed at 10 o'clock and Sportscene very handily came on at 10 o'clock. So I think genuinely guys came back, and it was largely men in those days, came back from the pub to watch Sportscene.
Hello, good evening and welcome to Sportscene.
Football was special in my day, with just watching it and then getting into the studio and presenting the programmes, because we had such few games covered.
It was a big deal. It was a where are they this week? Oh, they're not doing Aberdeen Dundee United. I can't believe it. They're doing Motherwell against Kilmarnock.
Certainly a live occasion was extremely special.
Football is everywhere. You can watch matches 24 hours a day, every day of the week, beamed live from round the world. Only recently, viewers in Scotland were forced to make the preposterous choice between a Champions League game featuring Juventus and Real Madrid on commercial television, or on BBC Alba, Forfar versus Alloa. Easy for me, Forfar are my wee team. And then there's the World Wide Web. A magical box of clips, streams and great goals. Amateur matches with brutal tackles. Bairns with amazing skills, and girls' football with world-class goals. If it happened, then it's up there somewhere in the creative cloud. We live in an era of media ubiquity. There are cameras everywhere, even in our own pockets, and hundreds of digital television channels around the world have sprung up to bring us football from every obscure corner of the globe. My first realisation of how pervasive the media had become didn't happen in Silicon Valley or in the streets of Soho, but ironically here at Glebe Park in Brecon. It was a Druitt Saturday and St Johnstone were playing the home team, and we were here along the famous Hedge End. A St Johnstone fan took a phone from his pocket and filmed what became a decisive goal. He captured events so immediate and tangible that the clip has been watched thousands of times on YouTube. Danny Granger won a corner, crossed to Danny Invincible, and Saints were back in the game. It was one clip amongst many, but of course it poses a significant challenge to conventional broadcasting. It was fan-produced. It was shot from a perspective that normal sports broadcasting rarely covers. And of course, it was distributed free of charge on a global digital platform. All of that raises questions about the future of broadcasting. As for the quality,
It glows in resplendent technicolor. Isn't it marvelous what you can do with history when it's in this liquid form? You can speed it up. You can stop it. You can spin it back. It's almost totally under your control, except that you can't alter the result.
And remember, there were times when Sportscene itself, a cutting-edge show with all the resources of the BBC, had to admit that it lived in primitive technological times.
Well, at the moment, we don't have sound from the Aberdeen game. It was a remarkable game at Pittodrie today. If I say any more about it, it'll give the game away. I think we've now got the game. Are we? I think I'd better find out if we can.
I was speaking to a guy who was doing his nut in the gallery, trying to instruct me about things going wrong. And I kept going up and down.
Yes, I see. Okay, fine.
And eventually, the editor said to me, "Would you stop taking personal calls during business hours?" So you had to smile at these occasions.
Sorry about that. We have got this marvellous game ready, thankfully.
Little things like our league tables weren't computer generated. They were literally little magnetic letters and numbers put on a music stand. And they were never entirely straight. The 2 would be just slightly to the left, or the C would be a little bit to the right. And inevitably, in the madness of the results programme on a Saturday afternoon, somebody would kick the legs of this music stand. And the league table would disappear onto the studio floor in a scatter of letters and numbers. And I would be told, go to the league table, and the stage manager would be giving it that. And I would glance down at my notes and say, well, we can't quite go to the league table yet, but Rangers and Celtic are still joint top of the table, and Aberdeen are 2 points behind. And the league table is all over the studio floor. I mean, when you think about it, it was great fun, but it was pretty basic stuff.
Times have changed, and new innovators like Sky TV have ripped up the rulebook and brought football to new levels of coverage. But despite the powerful allure of pay-per-view television, Sportscene is still with us, not just surviving, but thriving. So why has the veteran refused to hang up its boots?
A new season, new titles, even a new name. Out goes the SPL, in comes the Scottish Premiership.
3 things gave Sportscene its status: authority,
An excellent win indeed.
a shared viewer experience,
Clearly a night to savour for the delights of a great national victory.
and unbridled enthusiasm.
The game was invigoratingly fresh and inventive. Although some obvious flaws showed through, the compensation was in a number and variety of attacks that one could applaud.
In a sport where everyone had an opinion, it brought authority to football commentary. The presenters, particularly the legendary Archie Macpherson, came with the air of fatherly control. Significantly, he was a teacher in an era that when the teacher talks, you pay attention.
The ratio of forward passes to sideways or backward, as Sean O'Casey would have said himself, a state of change. I don't see the boys gathered round tonight talking about Byron and Keats.
It was a case of trying to speak directly to a woman in Benbecula, a guy down in Dumfries, trying to be very personal as you possibly could, and develop your own kind of personality to this.
I don't mind you throwing the cushions, but not the glasses.
You had to be not deliberately distinct, but just try and be as natural as possible.
And this is now so agonising for Hearts.
Sportscene was a settled part of the Scottish Saturday night schedule in the days when television could unite viewers around a shared and common experience. It made moments memorable for everyone, simultaneously.
They've done it! 2-0. A brilliant goal.
I can't really recollect a game before that has finished so cruelly for a club. Just imagine going all these league games without defeat, 27, and playing so well, tremendous support, loyal support, and then suddenly, bang, the 2 goals done in the last 15 minutes, and the championship disappears.
The audiences were always enormous. There was always a great reaction to what we did. Not always positive, but usually positive. And the sense that you were at the heart of something that mattered to people.
Oh, beautiful. Superb touch there by Walters. Oh, that's a great effort. What a superb run.
That's just one of the couple of dozen or so bananas that were thrown on the pitch today, one of which hit Mark Walters. And let's not kid ourselves, they were aimed at him.
Though fundamentally a programme about the nation's hobby, Sportscene set the agendas that kept people engaged throughout the week. This has led to the Big Brother-style naming and shaming, which has brought the term trial by Sportscene into the vernacular.
Plenty of good moments from James McFarren since he arrived at St Johnstone, Pat, but this was a day to forget for him.
Again, I feel quite sorry for him. It's a gesture, yeah. There's been quite a few of them recently, but in this case, the cameras have caught Fardy, so he could be in a wee bit of trouble, but I feel quite sorry for him on this occasion.
There were a number of cases that arose as a direct result of Sportscene coverage.
Scott McDonald into the challenge. And Scott McDonald is in trouble.
One of the things that always struck me was that the clubs who were complaining were then using Sportscene evidence the following week to exonerate a player who'd been red carded and they felt it was unfair.
Did he deserve to get a 3-match ban for this?
I think he's just trying to hold the player off. I really do. I don't think he's deliberately trying to hurt him there. Because I actually don't think it was a red card.
Sportscene hasn't shied away from the bigger issues, like the infamous 1980 Scottish Cup final riot.
And there's an invasion of Celtic supporters. They've come right across. They're spilling right onto the pitch. And indeed, Rangers supporters are coming on now. And where are the police? For heaven's sake, where are the police?
And suddenly I found myself, I don't mean this cynically, but more engaged with the riot than I had been in the game, because it gave me an opportunity to say something about the bigotry and the hatred that fired these two sets of supporters. And also criticising the police at the same time. Where were the police? Where were the police? Because they weren't on the part. They had just got this utterly wrong. They didn't come in until far too late.
And this is now like a scene out of Apocalypse Now. These supporters hate each other.
Was it difficult to lift yourself after the disappointment of losing the league?
Not really, no. I think the one-off thing.
Man of the match, go and collect a cup. Danny, well done.
I was doing after-match interviews and racing out of the tunnel to go out and try and catch the winning captain and players, and suddenly realising the hordes were coming over from either end, and thinking how awful it was that this was the view of Scottish football and of the Scottish Cup final and of Scotland that was being seen round the world.
The show was also hugely enthusiastic. There were no number-crunching pundits complicating the game with arithmetical theory and obscure tactics.
The tactics, if you're playing the system, go 4-4-2.
4-4-2.
4-4-2.
If it's a 4-3-3. 4-5-1.
It's almost like a diamond.
You're going to show us on your tactics table tonight exactly what some of the problems are. They've got 4 players there. You've got to really just keep your shape.
It was an era before cynicism, when we imagined football was great and when we sent big-name talent down to England.
And the shot superbly struck! What a brilliant goal by Kenny Dalglish!
When, on a good day, Scotland could beat the world.
Gamble. Good play by Gamble. And again. 3-1!
In the 1980s, the sun always shone and we walked without fear.
Here's Ferguson. There's a shot. Oh, brilliant goal!
It was a decade renowned as a golden age for Scottish sport, and Sportscene made it real for our audience at both international and club level.
Cooper. Here's Durant with a chance, and he's done it!
While the only thing shorter than Wee Jimmy Cranky was Danny McGrain's modelling career, it was an era when we were regulars at the World Cup, though the summers of love were always shorter than we would have liked.
Well, it's a great goal, a brilliant goal!
Those were the days when we qualified regularly for World Cups and European Championships. Unbelievable unbelievably, in that 1990 World Cup, there were only 6 groups. The third place team qualified in 4 of those groups. We were one of the other 2. So again, Scotland found another way not to qualify.
Colin Hendry leading out Scotland. Dunga leads out Brazil.
When we covered the 98 World Cup, I would never have believed that all the years later, here we are, still hoping to qualify for another World Cup. Would never have believed it at that time.
In the 40 years of Sportscene, generations of football fans have witnessed some of their most cherished moments. Moments when legends were born.
Glorious close control from 18-year-old Charlie Nicholas playing his first full first-team game.
Moments that would go down in history. Among the most significant eras covered by Sportscene was the emergence of the new firm, Aberdeen and Dundee United, 2 clubs with iconic managers, Alex Ferguson and Jim McLean.
Aberdeen and Dundee United refreshingly transformed Scottish football. So we had 2 different personalities in different kind of achievements. Jim McLean, Durer.
Hold that ball, don't do that!
More profound, more introspective. Total difference with Alex Ferguson, who became one of the great managers of all time, and we saw the beginning of it. I remember the day he won the league championship for the first time. Celtic were playing Love Street against St Mirren. Hibs were playing Aberdeen at Easter Road.
What a majestic setting for this match today. The weather absolutely superb, and a huge support has come down from Pittodrie for this game. But of course, it's not the attraction of Edinburgh and the weather, it's the possibility of Aberdeen winning the championship this very day.
If they won it at Easter Road and Celtic didn't get the result at Love Street, it was his championship.
There's Steve Archibald, and again McGee with a great chance. It comes loose, and it's a goal by Watson. 2-0.
Well, the result came through. Aberdeen had won, and he took off, he started to run.
They have won! Alex Ferguson is on now in the penalty area. There he's in. Can you blame the man?
It was like Forrest Gump in that film. He just kept running. He didn't know what to do with himself. And I give you an idea of the excitable and passionate character he was.
Titles followed in 84 and 85, but his finest hour was in Gothenburg in 83 when they returned with the Cup Winners' Cup and the scalp of Real Madrid. Forget Manchester United, this was Fergie's biggest night.
In the city, there's 1,000 things I want to say to you.
Further down the East Coast, Dundee United took up the challenge. It was the ultimate Arab Spring, United champions in 1983.
A huge Dundee United support, but the unfortunate thing today is that there are thousands outside and who simply will not get into this ground, which is now packed to capacity. Might just get the chip, and he does, he's scored! Oh, what a great goal!
The players of Dundee United all season have done a magnificent job. I hope that they realise that the moaning that goes on with certain parties in the dressing room is... Well, Walter Smith's no bad at it now, too.
During that season, United had developed a belief that they were a good side, and when the actual opportunity arose, they showed they were more than good enough. They won 3 of the last 4 games 4-0.
Have a good night tonight then, eh?
They were ready for it, and they had a number of players there. They were equal of anyone playing in Scotland at that time.
It set up a run in the European Cup which came agonisingly close to a final showdown with Liverpool.
Think about Dundee United, who could barely get an average crowd of 5,500, getting within 20 minutes of the European Cup final.
And I think the referee angry about Jim McLean coming to the touchline.
In the end, we were really disappointed, you know, after winning 2-0 at home, not to get to the final.
Lee Bartolome.
Would have been a just reward for Jim McLean and the work that he did over this period to take the team to the final of the European Cup, but it wasn't to be.
But the 86-87 season saw more European adventures, this time in the UEFA Cup.
There's a chip. He might go now. And the Barcelona crowd are rising to them and applauding. And there goes the final whistle. Dundee United are through to the semi-finals of the UEFA Cup.
Barcelona were beaten home and away en route to the final. But the two-legged final against Gothenburg was a bridge too far. They may have lost the tie, but Jim McLean's men won the hearts of many.
One of the things that I was very fortunate about in the early days was it was a kind of golden period for certainly Scottish football, for Scottish sport. When you think that the old firm were still very powerful, did well in Europe, you had the emergence of the new firm, Aberdeen and Dundee United coming through, which was terrific. And the joy and the anticipation of hoping that this would be the year that Scottish clubs would progress in Europe. And of course at that time we did. We had pretty much all of it, and that was a great privilege.
But the new firm, for all its thrilling brilliance, burnt out too soon, and Aberdeen's title in 1985 was the last time the title left Glasgow.
Don't you forget about me.
But the inevitable Old Firm dominance was never far away. Walter Smith took over as manager of Rangers in 1991, but wasn't thinking about records just yet.
Going for the early cross, there's Hateley! It's a magnificent goal for Rangers!
I still can't ever remember sitting down and saying to myself, well, we're going to equal Celtic's achievement. When we got to 7, everybody started to talk about it then, and the pressure became the opposite then. You were going to be the person that lost Rangers 9 in a row. that became a pressure.
Hello, 2 days ago, Motherwell spoiled the party with a 2-0 win at Ibrox. The big question tonight was, could Dundee United further delay Rangers' record-equalling ambitions? Tannadice highlights coming up.
Miller's cross, a good one, that hits Loudon! It's a classic from Loudon! The moment belongs to Rangers. Presentation, League Championship trophy to Richard Gaunt of Rangers.
There was a great deal of emotion involved in that as well. Equaling Celtic's achievement was, as I say, it was a great thing for a club to do, and I was just delighted that I had played my part in that. Being Rangers and being in Scotland, most people ask you now why you didn't get 10 in a row. It's a close one, so we lost out on that.
Hello, the last league Saturday of the season, and Celtic's fate was in their own hands. A win over St Johnstone would bring them their first title in 10 years. Lord McFarlane from sponsors Bowes and League Secretary Peter Donald brought the championship trophy to the BBC. It was late in the afternoon before it became obvious where their destination would be.
Larson lining up for the shot! What a start for Celtic! As John Boyd accepts the League Championship trophy.
After almost a decade on the periphery, it was now safe for Celtic fans to watch Sportscene again. And they loved what they saw.
Now, Celtic, of course, took their very first steps on the road to the Olympic Stadium away back in September, and BBC Scotland have been with them all along the way.
Lisbon 67, could it be Seville 2003?
The Lisbon Lions were gods in my eyes. Knowing that you were going to the European final with Celtic is probably as good as it gets. Walking out at Seville, in the heat, it was just a really emotional and special moment. I remember that we didn't really get going first half. Martin got us in, settled us down, and just basically said this: you're not doing yourselves justice here. You can play a lot better.
Agat's cross. Larsson's header is 1-1.
When they broke, I think it was Lenichev scored a very good goal, and we got the second goal. Henrik again.
The left foot of Alan Thompson. Larsson! He's done it again!
Absolutely incredible.
And we looked a really stronger team then. You know, we were really on top. The second goal gave us a huge fill-up, and you know, we were in control and we felt good about ourselves.
Here's Derley with the chance. Derley scores for Porto.
We just switched off and for 1 minute, and we got punished for it. And it's, I think for all of us, it's the one that got away, really.
Crushing defeat, but it underlined the credentials of a super Swede. He was just one of the many greats to light up Scottish screens over the past 40 years.
Robertson with it, there's a deflection, it's in. Beautiful, done it to Malkovich, yes. Splendid goal. And it's finally gone home with Pat Stanton. Must put it away and does. Superbly struck. There's Gallagher trying to go in and he's done it. Oh dear. To McCoist. And Ali McCoist strikes.
Football inevitably divides opinion, usually along club lines, and in that respect, Sportscene has done its public service duty. One of its most resilient roles has been to contribute to paranoia across Scotland.
I think you'd have to talk about the Rangers-Aberdeen League decider in 1991 when they were level in points, level in goal difference. Aberdeen had scored a couple of extra goals. I think Rangers had to win. And I remember doing the opening to the programme out on the pitch at Ibrox, 15 minutes to kick off, and it was absolutely electric, as you can imagine. And saying something like,
a huge crowd, of course, and all my years of coming to Ibrox, I don't think I've quite known such an air of tension, such an air of anticipation about one match.
when I say, in all my years of coming to Ibrox, immediately the other side would say, see, told you, he's a blue nose. And then not long afterwards, I would come back from the Masters at Augusta with a Masters tie, which is green. And I'd wear that, not in an Old Firm game, obviously, and I would get it from the other side of the city again. See, told you, green tie on, he's a Celtic fan.
St Johnstone fans still believe that the Sportscene camera vans never have enough petrol to get to Perth. Celtic fans think the BBC deliberately misses crucial goals in order to undermine their greatness. And Hibs fans still rage that Sportscene wasn't even around to capture their Scottish Cup final victory back in the days when the camera was in its infancy. So Sportscene has touched all the emotions.
Moore's header! Oh, it's a hat-trick! A hat-trick for Alan Moore! 1-0 to Kilmarnock!
I think Sportscene has been part of the fabric of Scottish football now for quite a long time.
Let's have a look at this. Let me clarify, you get the outfit.
From agony to ecstasy.
Ray again. Oh, dreadful! He's done it!
And you know, they really look after you nowadays. Let me introduce you to my mobile studio.
It's made us go to work with a spring in our step.
But there's a chance for Angus!
And go to bed in the huff.
It must be. It's the equaliser. Point.
This was thrown at us earlier on. I reckon it was a plant.
Much to my wife's charging, I had to get home to watch Sportscene on Saturday night.
Here's Hateley. That's a magnificent goal for Rangers.
Wearing his Christmas jumper, Killian Sheridan.
United certainly deserve that.
Well, delicious.
Busby looking for the shot. Is a great goal.
It all started here with Sportscene, and I'm very grateful.
It's taken us by the hand through generations of our football experience.
You still watch it? Of course, I'm part of the tribe.
And long may it live.
If you have been touched by Sportscene, you've got a stamp on them.